I'm here joined by Dennis and Jen Lewis, and I am super excited to have my first guest from outside of Alberta and to kind of learn all about them today and share with you guys their incredible stories so far in real estate. So thank you so much for being here, you guys.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited. Why don't you kind of just do a quick introduction, kind of like where you're from, and maybe a little bit about how you got started into real estate.
Okay. Yeah. So, my dad was in the military. I grew up moving all over, but ended up settling here in Ottawa,
Yeah.
uh, eventually. And so, okay, Jen?
Yeah, and I'm from just outside of Ottawa in the
Okay.
small towns here, and I've always kind of lived in this area, and
Got it.
just always interested in real estate. Some family members were investors, and we were just always interested in learning a little bit more and trying it on our own.
Got it. And what kind of drew you to real estate together as a couple? Like, is this a new adventure recently for you guys, or maybe what kind of held you back, and then what got you going? Would you say in the last kind of couple of years here?
Well, I guess, like Jen has said, we both, separately had always had kind of a desire to get into it.
Yeah.
Just the opportunity was never really there.
Yeah.
And our concept of what it meant to be a real estate investor was completely different than what it is now
Right.
as we've gone through this journey.
For sure.
But when we decided to get together, we had two places.
Yeah.
And so we just decided, you know what, let's take this opportunity and use one of them as an
Mhm.
investment property, which
Yeah.
is what we did. And, we figured all we need to do is just, make sure the rent covers the mortgage and we're good to go.
Mhm.
And we added in a few extra things. We did, we were at least smart enough to figure out back then, okay, we need to account for, condo fees and account for, tax
Mhm.
and that type of, that was about it. Nothing else. No
Nothing, yeah.
concept of, vacancies and repairs and that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And it went really well.
Mhm.
So we decided it was time to add another one. And it just turned out we had good friends that were looking at downsizing
Okay.
and needed a place.
Yeah.
So, and then one really close to our house that we had our eye on for quite a while,
Mhm.
also came open at the same time. So we just said, okay, that's fate.
Yeah.
We need to make that happen. So same thing. We use the exact same concept. Okay, now we've got two, and someone else is paying down our mortgage, and when we retire, we'll probably sell
Exactly.
them,
Yeah.
and we'll just we'll have that big influx of money, and we're off to the races.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
that's we just thought that's what you do. And then Jen saw that Scott McGilvery was coming to town, and
Yeah.
said we should really go. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, sure, what the heck, let's go.
Yeah.
And we went, and really it was like, it was an aha moment.
Yeah.
He totally turned our whole concept of real estate investing around. I was just like,
Wow.
whoa. And we just said, okay, well, we need to learn more. So we did his
Yeah.
workshop, and
Just
it
keep
just,
one more
proved
thing,
me.
right?
Yeah, it's like a snowball going
Yeah.
downhill in an avalanche. It was just like boom.
That's so awesome. And when was that? When did you go to that first Key Spar event?
Would have been
It was November of 2019.
Wow. So that wasn't very long ago, and I feel like you guys have done a whole lot since then. So that's pretty incredible. But I love the kind of aha moment where you're like, wow, what it means to be an investor. There's, first of all, so much to it. And then there is like such a massive community here of people across Canada, just like yourselves, and supporting each other along this journey. There's so many incredible groups. And it's really awesome to see these stories of these aha moments and kind of how you got from A to B. So thank you for sharing that. I always like to ask people a little bit, like, is the why and kind of why you were interested. You did mention it, but it's really taking control of your retirement and what your security is for the future. Would you say that's kind of fair?
Oh yeah, that was definitely.
Yeah.
We thought that having these two investment properties originally was definitely going to set us up well, and
Yeah.
put money into RSPs and stuff, and just
Yeah.
what our concept of what our financial freedom was going to look like. And like I said, then we went to this, and it's not just opened up, our minds to, totally different world of what real estate investing is. It's opened up a whole new world of just financial stability and possibilities. And it's really, and that's probably our why is to get to a point where, we can do what we want when we want. And
Absolutely.
not have to worry.
And maybe, take off a few years of working time
Yes.
because we are still full-time on our jobs on top of the real estate.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I love what you said about possibilities with real estate, and that's one of my favorite things about it is the possibilities lead to possibilities you hadn't even thought of possibly yet, first of all. And then I love the options that it gives you during your life. Like unexpected things happen to all of us, and having a portfolio of real estate, even if it's just a couple of properties or more, obviously, it gives you so many more options as to how you can deal with those unexpected situations. So that's super exciting. What would you say, or would you say to maybe someone like going to that first event or just kind of getting out there, like what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome to kind of take those first steps forward? Because from my opinion, you guys have done a lot in a very short period of time, and there must have been some challenges to overcome along the way with that.
Well, get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Number one, I think that's, you are your own worst enemy.
For sure.
So go with an open mind is number one, because it's just, there's some of the people in this industry are so creative.
Yeah.
Like we sit, we both just have this thirst for knowledge. So when we decided to do this, we joined Keys Buyer, we joined a bunch of different groups. We go to a million meetups. We did every educational course I think we could get our hands on. And it was just like drinking from a fire hose for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And it just always amazes me just how creative some of these people are. And I was like, wow, I never, ever thought of that. So I think that's number one. It's just, everybody look at things differently and be willing to listen to what they have to say. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is that we found, I think early on, we got really distracted by, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, let's try this and that.
Yes.
Until we really sat down and really figured it out, like what's really going to work for us right now in terms of how much time we have, tied up in our jobs and how much time we can devote to, real estate investing as well. So, and then that really helped us, narrow our focus and become really good at what we were selecting.
That is incredible advice. Two things you said that were really important. One is you invested in yourself. You got educated and spent the time and resources to do that. And you went out there and networked and met with tons of different people and different things. But really importantly is figuring out what works for your life. And we all have only 24 hours in a day. We all have, X amount of money and X amount of time, and trying to put those two things together and choose that strategy or path that works best for you is super, super, super smart. So that's really good advice for people for people who want to get going, is to find that community, get educated, and then really look at yourself and figure out what works for your actual situation. So really good advice. Speaking on that leads really well into determining your strategy. I'm lucky enough to have worked with you guys in purchasing some of your investments, but how did you get from, you're in Ontario, you own property in Ontario, but then you also now have invested in Alberta. How did you determine that strategy, or what was that like for you?
Well, I mean, obviously our strategy is still evolving, but as we started to look at what would work for us, we really realized that we needed something that was fairly turnkey. As much as I like to do renovations and stuff, is that we just don't have the time to do it.
Not the time, right?
Unfortunately, so there really isn't a lot of turnkey solutions in Ottawa yet.
Your market is
And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild for sure. Okay.
And so then, and obviously the dollar value also worked it. Is things are getting, they have been expensive and just going up. And so through the community, we saw the opportunity in Calgary, and we said, hey, you know what? That actually fits in our budget. We can make that work. So we started investigating and looking at it, and it fit perfectly into what we were looking for. It was a nice property, because that's the other thing. Our values, we really want to make sure we provide good rental properties for people.
Yeah.
That's really important to us, because we hate the term, slumlord and stuff.
Me too.
Right?
You get what you give.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was really, really important for us. And as we analyzed it, we said, you know what, this is a perfect solution for us. Let's go with that. And we made a lot of mistakes along the way, without a doubt, but it allowed us to put together what we think now is a really good team in Alberta.
Yeah.
And that just leveraged us into, okay, more opportunities came together. And we knew we needed to obviously start bringing out the capital. So we started investing, joint ventures, and we just kind of rolled with that.
Yeah.
And like I said, we thought it was everyone always told us, invest where the returns are best and what you feel most comfortable with. It doesn't have to be in your backyard. So we said, you know what, as long as we have a great team together in Alberta now, and we're like, specifically Calgary, and we're like, let's exploit this, and it's worked so far.
Yeah, it is. Yes, you're welcome. But I mean, I like, huge props to you guys. It is a challenge to overcome that, getting out of your own backyard. You kind of think, oh, I want to be able to drive by this place. But the nice thing about, it not being in your backyard is now it's not taking up any of your time, really, aside from, some of the maybe management pieces that come up with your property manager. But taking your time and resources that you have and being willing to look outside of your own backyard, there's investments all across this country that work well for people depending on their budget and their strategy. So, I mean, huge props to you for having the bravery to do that. Like, some people feel really scared, like they feel very scared by that idea. So huge props to you. I'm so glad things are working well for you here. And I think they will continue to. Our team on the ground here is wonderful. So, but yeah, choose your strategy and then choose where that would actually work for you, and don't get stuck in one area.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is the products as well fit what we were looking for.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that here in Ottawa, like, the purpose-built duplex with the suite.
Yeah.
What everybody's doing is they're creating them, which means you need to buy something and you need to renovate it, which gets out of what we know we don't have time to do. And we don't have a ready team of contractors at our disposal to go do that.
Exactly.
So,
and that's how it used to be here. Like, prior to a few years back, if we were talking about suites, we'd be talking about renovating. And so it's really exciting that this is now a possibility here in Calgary and Edmonton. But it's something that's attainable from anywhere. So hopefully these types of deals will spread out across the country. But it took a lot of just meeting with builders and telling them what our community is looking for. So I encourage you to do that in your own area if you have any contacts with builders or anyone out there, because it is something that works incredibly well. What would you say the importance of this community has brought to your experience so far? I mean, the Keyspire community, there's so many groups out there. Would you attribute those groups and communities to a lot of the kind of information you've been able to get and the support that you felt, or what's your experience been there?
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Okay. It's essential. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
We started with Keyspire just because that was the first. And if it wasn't for that, it was money well spent for sure.
Investment.
It was a great investment. It opened up the ability and the access to, just that education piece to start with. And then from there, we were able to leverage that into the networking side of things. And that got us into, more meeting more people and seeing more things and getting involved and just, got me started looking more and more and more on the internet as to what groups are available, signing up for those. And without it. And the support is amazing. And that's the other thing that's blown me away is just how genuine and willing to share knowledge and information everybody is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Everyone wants
There's so much knowledge out there. Like when you start combining all that and, one good thing I guess that's come in the last years, we're all now comfortable with networking online and video chatting. And, you could be looking at an opportunity from Vancouver to New Brunswick and find incredible people in these communities that have the experience in that area. So that's one huge stride I think that we've all made in the last year in being able to do so. So that's huge.
It's been awesome. I mean, like I said, through this, my parents live out in Victoria, and we were able to invest in, a development that's
awesome.
Like 5 minutes from their house. Jen and I have driven through that neighborhood. We've run through there. I was like, oh, wow. And then because of the community, the opportunity came up. I was like, oh, we have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to gloss over one thing we talked about that I'm just thinking about in that you did do in your first year of real estate, you've even gotten into joint ventures. This is again, this is, pretty advanced kind of stuff that you guys are starting to get into. So, for a lot of people out there, maybe they buy one or two properties or none, and they have to go to the joint venture route. We all run out of money at some point, whether it's, right away or property 10. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who has no concept of how to begin this? How did you get comfortable with that idea? And then what did you do as your first steps?
Well, the first steps were education. We attended 2 separate workshops on raising private money, other people's money, how to use that, how to structure. So that gave us a little bit of confidence to at least, we understand the framework.
Got it.
And then the other thing was, it was kind of a dual, obviously, money. We knew we were going to run out of money because it doesn't take long. But we also wanted to share the ability and what the possibilities of what becoming a true real estate investor can do for you. And we had some very, very good friends that we wanted them to be involved in this process as well. And we reached out, and thank goodness they were open and receptive to hearing what we had to say. And they've come along that journey with us.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the thing is someone we felt comfortable with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I feel ultra comfortable just going out and looking for a joint venture partner that I've never met or known, because I think it really is about the relationship that you have.
Huge. Yeah. That is really good advice right there too. I mean, you're essentially getting married to these people for X amount of time. You have to enjoy the relationship, or at least have similar values and ideas of how this relationship should run. And then the other piece, which you described really well, but people ask me a lot about raising money and how they find joint venture partners. And often the person raising the money is trying to get kind of their vision across, what they're trying to do, or sell an idea or something. And that's not what works. What works is what you did, which is just sharing something you're excited about and talking about how it can benefit them and their own retirement or their own plans. That is how you, I think, get successful raising money. It's not about selling your vision or what you want to do, right? It really is, you were excited, you were passionate about something, you had learned a lot about it, so you had some confidence in the education you had received, and you went and told people about it because you're excited. That's exactly the name of the game. So really big props to you for that. What's kind of next for you guys? What are you excited to learning next? I mean, like I said, you've tackled a lot in the first kind of 18 months here, but what's kind of next, or what are you excited about next?
Well, we're going to starting to branch a little bit. I think we're almost at the point where we are starting putting together a corporation.
Okay, got it.
And we're going to go for, we're in the process of a sixplex just outside of Edmonton, and that will be our first property in the corporation.
In commercial.
So
yeah,
that will be
doors.
Yeah, that will be totally different, and everything that goes with that. So we're still learning a little bit, but I think that'll work. We'd like to obviously look at more of the private lending side of things and equity, that true passive. And I think that's the other thing is once you have some doors in a portfolio, a little bit of time, it doesn't happen overnight. That's the other thing we've learned is that, this is not a get rich quick scheme.
No.
This is for the long term. But having access to some of that capital now allows you to look at other options.
For sure.
And there are so many different ways. And I think we'd like to learn more about, we don't really know a lot about rental, at least rent to own, lease to own. I like the concept of it because it fits with our values.
For sure.
Somebody get into a property that may not be able to. It's a lot of work. So we don't want to jump into that yet. We want to spend some more time learning.
For sure.
So that's probably the areas I think that we would focus in next.
Awesome. That's really exciting about the Edmonton sixplex. I mean, going from residential to commercial, like you said, I plan to do a whole episode on this because the commercial world is a whole different ball game. Like you're playing a totally different sport. So, I'd love to even check back in with you maybe after that's complete and see how that's gone and what you've learned, because it's something that every investor is curious about at some point, or they're kind of nervous about, but they want to know about it. So that's really exciting. So congratulations on that deal. And then anyone out there, obviously, make sure you go follow Dennis and Jen online and keep up with what they're doing. And I'm sure you'll see them around all these communities. But I mean, I just have to say, I'm very impressed with just how you guys have taken your time and use it so well in this short period of time. Do you have any tips on that? I mean, you guys work all day, then you do real estate. Like, how are you guys doing all this? How are you making this happen?
Oh, yeah, a lot. It's been a lot. I love numbers. I'm a numbers guy. So I do all the crunching pretty much. Give me I have no problem. I got a billion spreadsheets.
Love spreadsheets. Yeah.
So I think, and it's because we enjoy it. So it becomes, and luckily, I mean, good or bad, COVID has kind of helped that because, I mean, we've been very unlucky in Ontario here. We've been locked down a lot. So a lot of things that we would like to do, we haven't been able to.
But it has afforded us the time to spend in education and
absolutely.
In the business. So
and the reality is probably you're working all day your jobs, and then at night you're crunching numbers, and on the weekends, right? Like it takes that to do this, and obviously having a love for it gives you the energy that you need to be able to kind of push through some of those late nights or deadlines or whatnot. But it's kind of like a second job some days. I'm sure it kind of feels that way. Anything else you guys want to add in? Any kind of last minute advice or any new investors getting into this, or anything else you want to add about your experience so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like I said, don't be afraid. And reach out, ask for help, talk to people. Like I said, I'm just, get involved in a community. It doesn't matter which, there's lots of them out there. Get involved in one of those, reach out to those people, get a coach, get a mentor, get someone to work with you. We have had that opportunity, and it helped. And just the access, there's so much information. It takes time. You got it just doesn't magically happen. You got to put the work in. But it really is. I think once you see things starting to go, it is really really worth the effort.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're in a time right now, like you could spend probably every single day right now or evening in some sort of free educational event. Like this information has never been more accessible. And then the paid coaches, the paid groups, those are incredible programs to get involved in that will really push you to the next level. So there's really no excuse for not being able to access information right now. It is an incredible time for that because we're all at home making videos and sharing what we know. So yeah, build your team and get educated. Like that's exactly what I would say as well. And then build your plan, right? Like work with a good financial planner and mortgage broker to build your financial plan of how can I get from here to here, and what can I do on my own, and what do I need in terms of partners maybe. So I mean, that's really all I wanted to cover today. I am incredibly inspired and proud of the progress you guys have made in such a short period of time. So you should be very, very proud of yourselves, honestly.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Like I said, you were a big part of it as well. You've helped us a lot, Natasha. Thank you so much.
Good. You're so welcome. Anytime. Everyone out there, please go follow Dennis and Jen. I will tag them below in the post as well if you want to reach out to them or send them a friend request. But thank you so much for being here today, guys. It was a real pleasure, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, and you too.
Thank
Have
you.
a great weekend.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.